Quoin Pharmaceuticals is currently trading at $20.50. That's a staggering move of plus $12.34, an increase of over 151% on the day. When you see a move like this, especially in the small-cap biotech space, the immediate assumption for many is a speculative frenzy, perhaps a short squeeze or some coordinated buying from retail traders. The expectation is that this is disconnected from fundamentals, a fleeting pump that will vanish as quickly as it appeared. But the reality of what's happening with Quoin today is far more significant and rooted in a genuine, tangible development that could fundamentally alter the company's trajectory. This isn't just noise, it's a signal. The company announced positive final results from its clinical study of QRX003, its topical lotion for Netherton Syndrome, a rare and devastating genetic skin disorder for which there are currently no approved treatments. This is the kind of catalyst that investors in this high-risk, high-reward sector live for. It's the moment where a scientific hypothesis meets clinical validation, and the market is reacting with explosive force. The general belief about stocks like Quoin is that they are essentially lottery tickets. You buy a handful of them through your Fidelity brokerage account or maybe on the Robinhood app, and you hope one of them hits a clinical milestone and pays for all the others that fail. There's certainly truth to that portfolio strategy. The failure rate in drug development is notoriously high. However, to dismiss today's move as just a lucky lottery win is to miss the point. The deeper take is that this isn't just about one successful data readout. It's about the de-risking of a lead asset. Before this data, QRX003 was a concept with some early promise. Today, it's a drug candidate with demonstrated clinical efficacy and a clear safety profile in its patient population. For a company of Quoin's size, that is a profound transformation. This changes the conversation from if to when, though when is still a very long and complicated road. While the volatility might attract day traders on platforms like Interactive Brokers, the real story here is for the long-term online investment community that understands the painstaking process of bringing a novel therapy to market for a condition with immense unmet need. Let's dissect the market action we've seen today because it has been nothing short of breathtaking. The stock likely gapped up significantly at the open on the pre-market news release. The volume is the most telling indicator. Quoin's average trading volume is typically in the tens or low hundreds of thousands of shares per day. Today, we are seeing volume in the tens of millions. This is a colossal surge, indicating that the entire market is now paying attention. This isn't just a few self-investing enthusiasts. This is a flood of new interest. The price action itself suggests a series of halts throughout the morning session as the volatility circuit breakers kicked in to manage the frantic buying pressure. Every time trading resumed, the price just surged higher. This kind of move often triggers algorithmic trading, where systems are programmed to buy stocks showing extreme upward momentum, which then adds more fuel to the fire. It also undoubtedly caught short sellers in a painful squeeze, forcing them to buy back shares at ever-increasing prices to close out their losing positions. For anyone managing their portfolio using tools like Schwab Intelligent Portfolios, a single holding exhibiting this kind of volatility would be an outlier, highlighting the concentrated risk and reward of individual stock picking versus a diversified approach. Unlike the methodical, long-term growth stories of Nvidia stock or Tesla stock, which are driven by quarterly earnings and broad economic trends, Quoin's value is being repriced in real time based on a single, binary clinical event. The data itself is what matters most. The study for QRX003 met its primary and all key secondary endpoints with what the company described as a high degree of statistical significance. For those who aren't steeped in clinical trial terminology, statistical significance means the positive results observed were very unlikely to be due to random chance. This gives the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and other regulatory bodies a high level of confidence in the data. Netherton Syndrome is a brutal condition, causing chronic skin inflammation, severe dehydration risk, and a high susceptibility to infections. The fact that Quoin's topical lotion showed a meaningful improvement is a massive deal for patients and their families. This is what venture capital and public markets are for, funding the potential solutions to these intractable medical problems. The market's reaction, while extreme, is a rational repricing based on a significantly increased probability of future cash flows from an approved and commercialized drug. That said, the road from positive data to a prescription being filled at a pharmacy is fraught with peril and expense. Anyone looking at investing sites for the next big thing needs to understand this reality check. SoFi Invest might make it easy to buy the stock, but it doesn't make the underlying business process any simpler. So what does Quoin Pharmaceuticals actually do? Stripping away today's excitement, it is a specialty pharmaceutical company. Its entire business model is focused on developing and commercializing treatments for rare or orphan diseases that are often overlooked by larger pharmaceutical giants because of the small patient populations. The commercial incentive for big pharma to pursue these conditions is often limited. This creates a niche for smaller, more agile companies like Quoin. Their lead asset is QRX003 for Netherton Syndrome. The strategy is to acquire or develop assets for these orphan indications, navigate the complex clinical and regulatory pathways, and ultimately bring a product to market. The Orphan Drug Act in the United States provides incentives for this, such as tax credits and, most importantly, a period of market exclusivity upon approval, protecting the product from generic competition for several years. This exclusivity is a critical component of the business model, as it allows the company to recoup its substantial research and development investment. Their pipeline is lean, which makes the success of QRX003 all the more critical. This is not a company like Johnson & Johnson with dozens of products generating billions in revenue. This is a focused, high-stakes biotech play, and today their big bet appears to be paying off. Many investors use a core and explore strategy, holding stable Fidelity ETFs or Fidelity mutual funds as their core and using a small portion of their capital to explore with high-risk, high-reward stocks like this through their individual brokerage account. Now, let's turn to the future outlook, framing it through that lens of expectation versus reality. The new expectation, fueled by a 151% gain, is that Quoin is on the fast track. Investors are now modeling a successful FDA approval, a smooth commercial launch, and significant revenue streams. The narrative is that the hardest part is over. They've proven the science works. The reality is that a different and in some ways more challenging phase is just beginning. First, the company will need with the FDA to discuss these results and map out the final steps towards a new drug application. This process can be long and requires meticulous preparation of a mountain of data. There may be requests for additional information or even further studies. Second, there's the challenge of manufacturing. The company has to prove it can manufacture the drug at commercial scale consistently and to the highest quality standards, a discipline known as chemistry, manufacturing, and controls. This is a common stumbling block for small pharma companies. And third, even with a successful drug, they'll have to build a commercial infrastructure, a sales force, marketing teams, and distribution networks to actually get the drug to patients and secure reimbursement from insurance companies. The biggest reality check might be financial. Drug development is incredibly expensive. While today's stock surge improves their financial position on paper and gives them a much stronger negotiating hand, they will almost certainly need to raise more capital to fund these next steps. How do they do that? Typically through a secondary stock offering. This means issuing and selling new shares into the market. While this brings in necessary cash, it also dilutes the ownership stake of existing shareholders. It's a necessary evil of the biotech world. The company's management has to strike a delicate balance, raise enough to secure their future without cratering the stock price that just brought them so much positive attention. It's a tightrope walk. So while the science has been de-risked, the financial and execution risks remain very real. For all the seasoned investors using platforms from Fidelity Investments to interactive brokers, this is a known part of the process. For newer investors who jumped in today on the excitement, it might come as a rude awakening when the company announces a capital raise. So, for the biotech investors watching, what do you think is the biggest hurdle remaining for Quoin Pharmaceuticals? FDA approval, manufacturing scale-up, or commercial launch? Comment below with your thoughts. In summary, the story of Quoin Pharmaceuticals today is a classic case study in biotech investing. The expectation created by a headline number, a 151% gain, is one of an overnight success, a lottery ticket that just paid out. The reality is that this spectacular gain is built on years of painstaking scientific research and represents the successful completion of just one crucial phase in a long, expensive, and uncertain process.